What is going on, everybody? How's everybody doing today? So a couple days ago, I uploaded me reacting to your guys' Giannis Antetokounmpo trade ideas, and you guys loved the video. So today, we're going to be reacting to your Chris Paul trades that I posted on the community tab about a day ago. So drop a like if you guys do enjoy these and you want me to make this like a mini series, because we can do this with a lot of other players. Like, it would be fun if we did this for James Harden, Joel Embiid, Bradley Beal, Jrue Holiday, etc. So yeah, let me know by dropping a like on this video. So we can get right into this. I did sort it by top comments. And the first one we have is by Adrian Ortega, and it looks like it's a 3-team trade because you can see the Sixers are getting Chris Paul and Otto Porter. So the Sixers get Chris Paul, Otto Porter, Kobe White, and Chandler Hutchinson. Thunder get Al Horford, Zaire Smith, 4 from Chicago, 21 from Philly, a future first from Philly. And the Bulls get Ben Simmons, Norvel Pelle, and Kyle O'Quinn. Okay, I would see Chicago doing this. I would see OKC 1000% doing this. Them getting pretty much 4 for Chris Paul? Hell yeah. But Philly would not accept this trade, in my opinion. I don't think Kobe White and Chris Paul are good enough to give up Ben Simmons and 2 first-round picks. Yeah, you do get out off the Al Horford contract, but I just don't see them doing that. Tyler says Chris Paul to the Rockets and for Russell Westbrook and 3 first. Funny, I'm sure they would think about doing that now. I'm sure they would. So, next up, we have AJ O'Leary. We have a Suns one. So, Suns get Chris Paul. Thunder get Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, Eli Okubo, and a future first-round pick. So, it really sucks because I would like to see Phoenix keep Kelly Oubre if they were to trade for Chris Paul, because then you could have Chris Paul, you could have Devin Booker, Oubre, maybe a power forward they get in the draft at 10 or somebody else, and then they have DeAndre Ayton. That's a damn good starting 5, and that could probably make the playoffs for the first time in a decade for them. But I think they would have to include Rubio and Oubre to make the money work, unless maybe they could do it with Rubio, Frank Kaminsky. I'm just trying to think. Who else is making a lot of money on that team after this? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they would be able to do that without Kelly Oubre, because if they would be able to do it without Oubre, hell yeah, I would definitely do that. But throwing in Oubre really doesn't make them that much better. So I wouldn't think Phoenix would want to do that trade. Giving up Kelly Oubre, Okubo, and a future first, I don't know. That's a lot. All right, so here's a Bucks one. This is the most, I think, logical destination for Chris Paul. So Bucks get Chris Paul. Thunder get Eric Bledsoe, DJ Wilson, Ersan Ilyasova, Sterling Brown, a 2020 first-round pick from Indiana, and a Bucks 2021 first and a Bucks 2021 second. Okay, that honestly isn't too bad for either team, because Milwaukee basically gives up one player that really played for them in the playoffs. Like, Ilyasova is just going to keep regressing. He's not that important. Obviously, he's going to be in here to make the money work. So Eric Bledsoe for Chris Paul, player-wise, is a fantastic spot for Milwaukee. You're giving up the 2020 first-round pick from Indiana, which is going to be around like 18, 19, 20, whatever. That was what they got from the Malcolm Brogdon sign and trade last offseason. I think if that is your main asset in this, fine. And you giving up your 2021 first, I don't know if they would be allowed to do that until after draft night or on draft night, just because they don't have their 2020 first, so I don't know if the stepping rule will kick in. I think it would. So I have to wait till like the new season to start to do that. So if you're giving up your 2021 first, might as well, because it's going to be in the late 20s anyway, and hopefully it's going to be 30 if you envision a championship next year. So I wouldn't mind doing that for them. I think maybe you could swap that to 2 seconds, and I think that's still good enough value. Because if the Thunder could get a top 20 first, maybe they could salvage something of DJ Wilson or Sterling Brown. And 2 seconds, I think that's a good enough haul for Chris Paul. And what? Bledsoe has 2 years left on his contract, I believe. I think it's 2. It might be 3. But even if it is 3, I don't think that's that bad of a trade. I don't think so at all. And they could maybe end up flipping Bledsoe down the line. I'm sure a team would maybe trade for Bledsoe. I don't know. But I do think Milwaukee should be the top destination to land Chris Paul. We have another Bulls one. This one is kind of straight up. So Bulls receive Chris Paul and Hamidou Diallo. Thunder receive Otto Porter, Daniel Gafford, Chris Dunn, and a first-round pick. I'm guessing that wouldn't be the 4th overall pick, so maybe it's a 2021 top protected first. But it's not a crazy idea. I don't know if Chicago... I mean, I guess Chicago could try to do that, because this could definitely push them to be a playoff team. Chris Dunn is not under contract currently, so they would have to re-sign him to make that trade, and Otto Porter would have to opt in, which is probably going to happen. But that's not a crazy idea. It depends where that first-round pick is, but they get Gafford and Chris Dunn, 2 fairly young players still. That would be a really good defensive team. I mean, they're giving up Diallo, who's a good defender, but you have Lou Dort, Shea, Chris Dunn. Very good defensive trio right there. So that's one definitely to think about, is Chicago. I don't know if it's that exact package, but I could see Chicago using Chris Paul as like a bridge point guard for Kobe White and help Kobe White develop behind Chris Paul, because who else better to develop behind? Okay, so we got Chris Paul and a second to the Nets for Caris LeVert, Allen, Temple, their 2021st. I mean, if I'm the Thunder, I'm answering that right away and accepting that on the spot, not even thinking twice. I would probably do that without Jared Allen or Caris LeVert. I would do that without the first round pick if I'm getting Allen and LeVert. Like, if you're getting two out of these three assets, the first, Allen, and LeVert, you do that immediately. Brooklyn probably wouldn't do that. I don't think they're giving up that package for Chris Paul. They're leaning more towards a Drew Holiday, a Bradley Beal with that package, or Joel Embiid. Probably not a Chris Paul. And Chris Paul and Kyrie, I don't know if that really makes sense. We have a 76ers one here. So 76ers get Chris Paul and Gallo. Gallo would have to commit to a sign and trade for this. And then the OKC Thunder get Horford, Thibault, Smith, Tobias Harris, and a first. Okay, the reason why I don't see OKC doing this is because now they're taking on Tobias Harris's contract and Al Horford. I can see them taking on one of the contracts, but not both. I mean, it would be super cool if Philly could somehow get Gallinari and Chris Paul this offseason in a sign and trade. Elton Brand, if you could try to do something here. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that unless they trade out Tobias Harris as well. But I don't think the Thunder would take on Harris. Maybe a team like Charlotte or Sacramento would take on Tobias Harris. But yeah, if you could maybe work out like a trade to get Chris Paul and then Gallinari in a sign and trade, I think that'd be perfect. Because then in a perfect world, you have Ben Simmons, or excuse me, you have Chris Paul, you have Josh Richardson, Ben Simmons, Gallo, Embiid. It's a lot better than what they have now, in my opinion. Gergis Camille Awad says, Chris Paul to the Knicks for Julius Randle, Kevin Knox, Dennis Smith, and 2 first-round picks. I think that's a little high of value for Chris Paul. I think 2 first-round picks is a lot. I could say 1 first-round pick, maybe the Dallas 2021 first or the Clippers first this year if you're giving up Dennis Smith Jr. and Kevin Knox and Julius Randle. I mean, Randle, he's still a good player. He's definitely overrated for what his statistics show. But I don't know. He's still a solid player. Like I would say he's on the same level as Eric Bledsoe. So if Eric Bledsoe's the main part in a Bucks trade, Randle should be kind of somewhere in the Knicks trade. If picks are included, and they're obviously offering 2 first-rounders in here. Knox, we can't call him really a bust yet. He's only played 2 years, and this year was just a mess for the Knicks overall. So I'd like to see one more year with Knox, especially in Thibodeau's offense. DSJ was arguably the worst player in the NBA this year, but I think in a new scenery, he could be a lot better. So I think this would be a great haul for OKC. But I don't know if the Knicks are dumb enough to give up that much. But hey, it's the Knicks. They might, but let's hope Leon Rose is different. Spyros says Clippers receive Chris Paul. OKC receives Lou Will, Landry Shamet, and 2 first-round picks. Unfortunately, salary cap is a thing. I don't think they would be able to pull this off. They might. I don't know if they'd be able to stretch out the money with Lou Will, who's only making $7 million. Oh, no, they're not doing this. It'd have to be like Lou Will, Patrick Beverley, Zubats, and maybe they can stretch it out. And you're probably not going to be able to bring back one of the 2 of Harrell and Morris. So, as much like I would love to see Chris Paul be in a big 3 with PG and Kawhi, it's just not happening. Just king and mid-range right there, Kawhi and Chris Paul. Jazz get Chris Paul. OKC gets Conley, Bradley, and a first-round pick. I think if I'm Utah, I'm offering that 100%. I think it's definitely worth to give up a first-round pick. Now, they're already down a first-round pick in the future from the Conley trade, but I think Chris Paul is definitely a massive upgrade over Mike Conley, at least for next year's season, so I would do that if I was Utah. OKC, if that is the best offer on the table, yeah, I'll accept it, but if I can find something better, I think you can. Chris Paul to the Bucks for Eric Bledsoe and Sir Brown. You're going to have to throw more in that. So this is probably not fair for the Nuggets, so OKC might throw in a couple first-round picks. Chris Paul for Bobo. Yeah, I think so. For casuals, saying Bobo isn't good, he's like the LeBron if LeBron could play basketball. Yeah, sure. AJ O'Leary says, Bulls get Chris Paul, Thunder get Kobe White, Chris Dunn in a first-round pick. I think that's a lot for the Bulls to give up. Yeah, you're giving up Kobe White, who was a top 10 pick last year, and he looked great in the second half of this season. Chris Dunn would have to commit to a sign and trade, and then a future first for Chris Paul. I think that's a lot. I think you don't have to give up Kobe White in this trade. I think you could do Chris Dunn, a first, Cristiano Felicio maybe to make the money work, and that's if you could commit to a sign and trade with Chris Dunn. So you don't have to give up Kobe White, Chicago. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have to. Lakers get Chris Paul, Thunder get Kyle Kuzma, KCP, and Danny Green. I think if I'm OKC, I also want their 28th, 29th, 30th pick in this draft because they do have it. I don't know if the Lakers want to give that up because they are thin on first-round picks in the future, obviously from the AD trade. But if I'm the Thunder and you can get Kyle Kuzma and you can get a first-round pick, it's not bad. It's not bad. And if I'm the Lakers, I'm offering that 100%, especially if the Lakers lose to the Clippers. I would definitely do that. Chris Paul to the Jazz for 1 first and 2 seconds. Also Mike Conley in there. Yeah, like I said, I would probably accept that if I was OKC if there was no better offers on the table. But if I'm Utah, I'm definitely doing that. We kind of already talked about this Bucks trade. Yeah, Chris Paul for Al Horford, 2021st, and Shake Milton. Yeah, I think that's good enough value. I don't know if they would want Matisse Thybulle instead of Shake Milton. But you could probably get that to work, I think. Like Chris Paul's value isn't as high. Like he is an all-star, but he's what, 35, 36. He's got a massive contract. He's probably on the trade market, so we know the trade leverage is a little, like they lost a lot of, not a lot of leverage, but some trade leverage here. So he's going to go for probably a good young player. Not like a great, like a stud young player, but a solid young player. Or a first-round pick. I think one of those assets will be the main part of a Chris Paul trade. I don't know. I mean, if they can get a good young player and a first-round pick, boy, like Thybulle in a first, I would still do that if you're taking on Al Horford's contract. But yeah, they're going to obviously have to take a bad contract in return due to Chris Paul's contract being horrendous. Magic, okay, we got a Magic one. Magic get Chris Paul, Thunder get Aaron Gordon, Fultz at 2021st. Yeah, that is a lot of value. That is just way too much. Like, I mean, if you wanted to get creative, you could probably do Gordon and Ross, maybe. I don't know. Well, they're paying so much money to Vucevic, Ross, 48. They're just, it's going to be hard with the salary. You're going to have to end up giving, like, Gordon, 48, and Ross, and that's just, you're just hurting your team at that point. Thunder get Dragic, Duncan Robinson, Kelly Olynyk, Nunn, and a first. He get Chris Paul in a second. You don't have to throw in Kendrick Nunn and Duncan Robinson. I think Duncan Robinson would just be good enough. I don't think the Thunder will trade for Chris Paul due to them wanting to maybe go after Giannis or Kawhi or somebody like that in the 2021 offseason. If Chris Paul was a free agent in 2021, yeah, I could so see them going after Chris Paul. But since Chris Paul is under contract for $40 million a year, it basically eliminates the Heat from signing anybody else until his contract's up. I don't see them doing that. Spurs get Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous. And Thunder get 2% of Pop's DNA. All right, Mavs, here we go. We got a Mavs one. Mavs get Chris Paul. Thunder get Jalen Brunson, Tim Hardaway Jr., Justin Jackson, DeLon Wright in the 2021st. Once again, I think that's a lot of value. I don't think you have to throw in the 2021st and Jalen Brunson. I think either one might be good enough. I just don't see, like, for the Heat, the Mavs taking on Chris Paul because I think they maybe have bigger aspirations in 2021 free agency or that offseason going for somebody to pair with Luka before he's a free agent. Okay, so I think AJ Lee already put that in. Do we have any different teams? CP3 in a second for Duncan Robinson, Dragic in a first. That might be more like it. Paul for Horford, Thybulle, and Zaire Smith. Could definitely see that. They might ask for pick 21 in there. Okay, CP3, Mike Muscala to Milwaukee for Bled, Ersan, George Hill, and the Pacers pick. Yeah, it would just, like, I don't know if they want to give up both George Hill and Bledsoe. They might have to make the money work, but then you lose basically both your point guards. So I'm sure they can get somebody with, like, their minimal exception or whatever, but it'll be tough for them. Maybe the Thunder would just end up waiving George Hill anyway. We have another Knicks one here from Connor. He goes, OKC gets Julius Randle, Ntilikina, Ellington, LA first, Detroit second, and Charlotte second. Knicks get Chris Paul. I think that's more logical. I think the Knicks would want to maybe put DSJ in there instead of Ntilikina, but I think that's definitely an offer the Knicks would definitely like accept because that Clippers pick is going to be what? 28, 29, 30. 2 seconds her, and those could be good second round picks. But the only asset you're really giving up here is the Clippers first and Ntilikina. And I'm sure the Knicks want to keep Ntilikina maybe, so they might prefer throwing in DSJ in that trade or Damian Dotson or somebody like that. Clippers receive Chris Paul, Thunder receive Montrezl Harrell, Shamet, Zubats, 2022. I mean, I don't know if you could do a sign and trade with Harrell, and would the Thunder accept that? I'm not sure. They might have better offers on the table. OKC gets Ben Simmons. What are these OKC Ben Simmons things? Or the other one was Chicago. Sixers get CP3, Danny Green, Pope in a first. Lakers Tobias Harris and Mike Muscala. Yeah, I don't think that would happen personally. Okay, Rubio. Yeah, it looks like Rubio and Kelly Oubre have to be in a trade, at least what you guys are saying, which kind of stinks because I would like to see them with Oubre. But yeah, that is going to be for me. We had 409 comments. I'm sorry if I didn't read your comment. Like, I'm sure we ended up going through like 40 or 50 one of those, but they get repetitive going on because obviously we're going to see a lot of Milwaukee, a lot of Philly, couple New York picks as well, and there was some Chicago in there. There was a Nets one, but yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy the video, and let me know in the comments. You guys want to see more of these, or you can let me know your thoughts on some of these trades. And yeah, like I'll put up a poll today maybe if you guys want to see either like a James Harden version of this, and Joel Embiid, something like that, because I think it'd be pretty fun and interesting to talk about this. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.